Hey everyone, and welcome to our story corner. Get ready to be transported to the sunny shores of Penang, Malaysia, where an old farm holds a secret much spicier than you could ever imagine. Eddie looked up from the dusty book he'd found in the attic, his heart thrumming a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The old farmhouse groaned around him, the floorboards creaking as if whispering ancient secrets. His cousin Anna, her eyes brimming with a familiar curiosity, leaned over his shoulder. "What is it?" she breathed, her voice barely audible. The book was a treasure trove of yellowed pages filled with faded tales of adventure and mystery. But it was the map that had seized Eddie's attention, hand-drawn with a spidery scrawl that hinted at something concealed. Its corners were frayed, its edges stained with what looked like dried tea. "Look!" he murmured, his finger tracing the curving lines that snaked into the heart of the nearby jungle. "It says Spice Farm and points to a place we've never been." Anna's eyes widened as she absorbed the map's details. The farm had been in their family for generations, yet this hinted at a past entirely unknown to them. "Let's tell Uncle Larry," she suggested, her voice laced with burgeoning excitement. But Eddie was already a step ahead, the map clutched tightly in his hand. They hurried downstairs, the old staircase protesting with every creaking step. Uncle Larry was busy in the kitchen, the air rich with the comforting aromas of ginger and cinnamon as he prepared dinner. The cousins burst in, breathless, and presented their discovery. His eyes lit up, shining like a child's on Christmas morning. "The secret part of the Spice Farm," he murmured, stroking his gray beard thoughtfully. "Your grandpa talked about it, but I never knew where it was." Their summer at the Spice Farm in Teluk Bahang had been a mix of chores and games. But this was different. This was an adventure, calling their names louder than the distant waves of the Andaman Sea. Uncle Larry took a deep breath, his smile broadening. "Looks like we're going on a quest," he said. "But remember, the jungle isn't all fun and games. It holds secrets, and secrets can be dangerous." The next morning, before the sun had even begun to peek over the horizon, Eddy and Anna were dressed in sturdy boots, shorts, and t-shirts, eager to explore. Uncle Larry handed each of them a small backpack filled with water, snacks, a flashlight, and a compass. "Stick together," he instructed, his voice firm. "And if you get lost, find north and head back towards the farm. The scent of the spices will guide you home." They set off into the jungle, the map held tightly in Eddie's hand. The path grew narrower, the trees closing in, as if the foliage itself conspired to keep its secrets. The air was thick, with the familiar scents of the spices they knew so well, yet blended with unfamiliar aromas that tickled their nostrils with curiosity. They heard the distant calls of exotic birds, the rustling of leaves as unseen creatures scurried away from their approach. As they ventured deeper, the sounds of the farm faded, replaced by the hushed whispers of the jungle. The map grew more challenging to read, its paths forking and twisting like the vines that snaked around their legs. They climbed hills and crossed streams, each step drawing them closer to the spot marked by a large X. The excitement swelled, a tangible force that seemed to push them onward. The sun was high overhead when they stumbled upon a small clearing. And there it was, small wooden hut, almost entirely hidden by the dense foliage. The door creaked open, revealing shelves laden with jars of spices they had never seen before, their colors so vivid they gleamed like jewels. The floor was covered in a mosaic of leaves and petals, forming an intricate, almost magical pattern. In the center of the room, a pedestal held a single, ancient book. It was bound in leather and adorned with what looked like gold leaf. Eddie picked it up with trembling hands, his eyes scanning the pages. It was filled with recipes, but not for the usual spice blends. These were potions, spells, and incantations. The cousins looked at each other, their hearts pounding in unison. The secret of the Spice Farm was not just about hidden lands, but about hidden powers. They had stumbled upon their family's true legacy, a potent gift from their ancestors waiting to be discovered. With the book carefully clutched, they stepped out of the hut, the jungle seeming to hold its breath around them. Sunlight danced through the leaves, casting a golden hue over everything. They knew instinctively they couldn't tell anyone about this knot, even their closest friends back home. It was a secret that would forever bind them, a shared bond of wonder and immense responsibility. "We have to keep this between us," Eddy said, his voice hushed with awe. Anna nodded, her eyes reflecting the same mixture of excitement and trepidation. They looked at each other, and in that moment, a silent pact was formed. They would be the guardians of the Spice Farm's secret, their lives forever intertwined with its magical heritage. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees, Eddy and Anna started their journey back towards the familiar scent of home. The ancient book felt heavy in Eddy's backpack, not just with its physical weight, but with the weight of the incredible possibilities it held. What truly lay within its pages, and what mysteries would it help them unravel next in the heart of the enchanted Spice Farm? Thanks so much for joining us on this magical adventure. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you never miss what happens next. See you in the next video.